Today marks the release of Paradox Interactive and Obsidian's new CRPG, Tyranny. What's unique about this game is that you are playing from the side of evil, making judgments about what to do with the defeated and remaining resistance after your army has all but snuffed out the freedoms of the land. What sort of dictator will you be? Benevolent? Arrogant? Tyrannical? Well, that's for you to decide, and decide you will, because the game is all about decisions. If you love playing games with tough choices and multiple outcomes, then read on, because this game is for you. The premise of Tyranny, as mentioned above, is that you are playing from the side of evil. This is a rather unique take for an RPG, and frankly is one that might dissuade many players from trying the game. However, there are still good paths, and you can defy your ruler and strike out on your own, determining your own fate and the fate of many others. It is somewhat more satisfying to do so than in other games, because in Tyranny, you are expected to be evil, and defying these expectations just feels so damn good. On the other side of the coin, players who give in to their desires for brutality and carnage will find options available to them that they only dreamed about in other games. In short, there is something here for everyone. No two playthroughs will be the same. Having played Tyranny extensively for the past week, I can honestly say the amount of options available to the player are staggering. It is nearly impossible to write a walkthrough because so much depends on the decisions made previously, and since there are so many choices, the walkthrough would be different for everyone. Having played Pillars of Eternity quite a bit, I never felt the need to replay the game. However, with Tyranny, I find myself wanting to do a second playthrough just to see how things would have played out if I had done a few things differently. The game is mostly linear with really only a few options in terms of where to go next, but I don't think that's a bad thing in this case. Players can get overwhelmed easily by the complex detail that has been put into the game, and removing the open worldness simply allows the player to focus on the parts that really shine, like the choices and gameplay. Tyranny's gameplay is nearly identical to Pillars of Eternity if you are at all familiar with that game. If you aren't, it is a very text-heavy, story-driven, party-based, like Baldur's Gate, RPG. It does have some differences, however, including a classless system that allows you to build your character any way you wish. You can literally have any combination of skills and talents, making for tons of replayability as well as flexibility. Sadly, this doesn't apply to your companions, which are locked to their 2 unique talent trees, but this does make them have a unique feel when playing with them in your party. On top of that, Tyranny has added a new element, spell creation. You can find sigils throughout the game as you make your way around the comprehensive campaign that allow you to build spells. For example, combining a sigil of fire with a sigil of distance impact, you will create a fireball spell. Or, if you combine a sigil of frost with a sigil of focused intent, you get a frozen grasp spell. You can further enhance spells by adding accents to them that increase the range cast, damage dealt, duration, area of effect, or add new effects. To regulate this, players will need more lore for more potent spells, but what this means is that every character becomes a spellcaster, as there is no reason not to slot spells if a character can use them. It's always exciting when you find a new sigil and create a new spell or set of spells. The combat, unfortunately, is a step in the wrong direction when compared with Pillars of Eternity. In Tyranny, they have replaced the number of uses per encounter to a cooldown, and while this simplifies combat, it also makes it rather boring. The reason being is that the way the talent trees are designed, you gain very little active abilities at the beginning of each tree, forcing players to turn to spellcasting or simply stand there and just attack while they wait for cooldowns. While I love spellcasting, it's a bit strange to have 4 mages in my party because they'd just be auto-attacking for 50% of the combat if I didn't make them cast spells. This could have been avoided by increasing the number of active abilities in the lower tiers of each talent tree, allowing players to gain more active abilities in combat earlier on in the game. The graphics of the game are pretty standard for games running on the Unity engine. They aren't the focus of the game, but are good enough that they don't take anything away from Tyranny. Some of the spells actually look rather cool, but nothing mind-blowing. The story unfolds through a series of still images rather than cutscenes, which I can only guess was to save on cost and time. There are very few options in terms of graphics settings, which is a bit disappointing, However, we were able to run it on a 3-year-old laptop, so that is a major plus. The music, effects, and voice acting of the game are phenomenal. The music really captures the dark, villainous mood of the game and really pulls you into the universe of Tyranny. The voice acting is some of the best I have seen in a game, but unfortunately, only a few lines were recorded, mostly the companions. This is again a move that I can only imagine was to save on time and money, and is unfortunate. The only technical issue that we ran into was with the load times. I can't count the number of times the game froze mid a loading screen or took over a minute to load. I was playing on a state-of-the-art gaming PC with 16 GB of RAM and this was still happening. One time I had to kill the game 5 times in a row before I could get it to load my save. Hopefully this was only because I was playing on a review copy, but if it's not, my suggestion is that while you're playing, don't exit your game, just pause it and come back if you can. Trust me, it will save you a headache and some frustration. If you like a challenging RPG with a classic feel and choices that actually change the quests and outcomes of the game, then Tyranny is for you. For those worried they will be forced to play as an evil character, I can confidently say there are more than enough good choices to satisfy you and not ruin your experience. Tyranny boldly goes where no game has successfully gone before and pulls it off in menacing fashion. For $44.99, this game is a no-brainer.